Welcome back to the Shred the Spread podcast. I'm your host, Jared. Dynell and I, on Wednesday, went over every single game for Week 13. We found some spots we like. We put our heads together. We are having a winning week this week. We're speaking it into existence. There's a lot of good games. Dynell and I, as mentioned in last episode, will be in Atlantic City sweating these bets out together. There's a few games that you guys are going to agree on. There's a few that you're going to disagree on. And then we have a prime time matchup. Spoiler alert. There's a lot of good games. Dynell and I have our 5 picks. We will give out our Survivor pick, but unfortunately we are no longer surviving in Survivor, but we will do so for those folks who are still alive and will love our input. But before we get into our picks in Survivor, let me bring on my co-host, my right-hand man, my dude, I know what's going on, man.
Yeah, what's going on, my guy? Back at it again on a Picks Friday. I brought the shovel last episode. We dug. We found the spots that we like. Now it's time to put the shovel away and put our money where our mouth is. Starting on Sunday, Atlantic City. Boy, I can't wait. So let's go ahead and get this podcast over with, man. I'm trying to hurry up so I can get to those festivities tomorrow. You feel me?
So not only are you and I going to be sweating our contest picks out and our bets out together, but spoiler alert, me and you have some emotional attachment into these picks. The hometowns are in our 5.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
So in all likelihood, Deshaun Jackson's going to at least get a return.
Deshaun Jackson gets a block. Are you kidding? Way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
Let's get right into it. The first game leading us off, the Washington Commanders at home plus 9.5 against the Dolphins. Dynell, I'll allow you the honors.
I'm going to start off by saying, podcast, I apologize again for doing this to you guys. But we got to go back to these guys, man. Let's go back to the Commanders, man. Why? I'm going to tell you why. I get it. Thanksgiving was a complete beatdown, a complete disaster. The Commanders didn't look like a Pop Warner football team. All yada, yada, yada. I get that. But this is what the Cowboys do. They beat up on bad teams, whatever you want to say. But here's what I'm going to say. There's a gray area here. Jack Del Rio is no longer the defensive coordinator. And I didn't really express this a lot on the podcast last year, but he needed to be going about 2 seasons ago last year. I felt like this defense just was never really truly consistent. I feel like they got into like bad starts and then finally got going once the season started to climb to like the week, middle of the weeks to the end weeks. And this year through 11 to 12 games, man, do you think I am sick and tired of watching teams just drop 30, 35 on us? I mean, come on, guys. The fucking Denver Broncos dropped 35 on us in week 4 week 4, week 5. I mean, it was time for a change, and I think it was great change. I feel like Ron Rivera. Yeah, he needs to be going too. Honestly, I thought he was going to ship off right with him. But at the end of the day, I can say at least there's a coach that's well liked there on the defensive side. This is a coach with a defensive background. He's called plays like this before. He has familiarity. I feel like this defense needed a change of voice and a change of reason. Now, that being said, this is the East Coast. This is this is the Northeast, not the Southeast, which means it's going to be colder. The weather's going to be a factor. And this isn't going to be sunshine Miami. This is going to be cold, really, really cold, rough and tough type weather. I feel like this game's going to carry a lot on the ground. I really feel like this Commanders offense, even if they get down, this Commanders offense can keep up with this defense. Jalen Ramsey does look great. I give him credit. But at the end of the day, they're going to be tested. As funny as that being said, with the 4-8 Commanders, that defense will be tested by Sam Howell, in that offense. And man, like I said, guys, 9.5 points to me as a command. Like I said, the Commanders, anything 9 or above is disrespectful to me. This team does stay within games. I get it. We didn't see it with the Bills or the Cowboys. I understand that. But expect a different output, especially with the weather leaning on the Commander side here.
You know what? I mean, there's one thing that you said that I do want to kind of go on the opposite side. You said the whole Jalen Ramsey thing is back, but he hasn't really went up against top tier competition. He went up against Aiden O'Connell and Tim Boyle. So this isn't like oh, Jalen Ramsey's out there shutting down, top receivers and top quarterbacks. He's just out there doing what he's supposed to do. He's got a true challenge this week because Terry McLaurin, he ain't no joke. If he can beat you on inside routes, he will eat you up all day. And it just takes the Commanders, surprisingly, like Sam Howell's top 3, top 4 in passing yards this season.
Shit,
and yes,
he was
I know
top 1 for most of the season.
Yeah, and I know it's because the Commanders have been trailing, but that's just Bieniemy's game plan. He likes to get the ball in the air. He likes to just move the ball, keep the defense on their toes, and that only opens up the run. And this, what better spot for the Commanders to get right against than a Dolphins defense, which is kind of middle of the pack. And this is one of the windier games this week. So, if the Dolphins are going to run the ball a little bit more than they usually do, we can kind of, keep Tyreek Hill solidified and silenced. I had this game at 7. I told you guys on Wednesday, I had this game at 7. So we're getting about 2.5 points of value. I mean, I'll take the dogs at home. This is just marking a lot of the boxes for us. So give us the Commanders plus 9.5 at home with our first pick. Well, if you thought that was ugly, why, boy, do I got news for you. Let's move on to our second pick. We have the New York Jets plus 2.5. I know. I told you guys I was going to take a break from them. You probably thought it'd be longer than 1 week break, but unfortunately, we're right back here where we started. There is weird speculation, and I'm kind of on board with it, that Aaron Rodgers feels like as if this team is giving up. And I feel like that's why he went to practice this week. I feel like he's trying to boost the morale in for the team. He's trying to make these people think that they still have something to play for and not give up on each other. I mean, realistically, this is a game that the Jets have to win if they want to keep their season alive. And, we have to understand, this defense is top tier. This defense can literally win games and put themselves in positions to win games by themselves. And we're going up against Desmond Ridder. And I told you guys last episode, he's not a real quarterback. He's an athlete, but this Jets defense is full of athletes. This is one of the offenses that want to start and finish games by the run and only pass when they need to. And I just don't see this Jets defense allow them to get anything going on with the running game. If we can force the Falcons into 3rd and long, I see no problem with the Jets staying in this game and sneaking this one out. I think the Jets win. I think it's going to be a field goal game. Tim Boyle kind of came alive in the 4th quarter against the Dolphins. He was moving the ball downfield, and granted, they might have been playing soft coverage, but he was making the reads, and that's kind of what I need to see. He got his feet wet. He started moving the ball downfield. I love the Jets in the spot. I feel like you just have to play the number and play this defense against Desmond Ridder. Dino, what am I missing?
You ain't missing nothing, but I'm going to give you an interesting fact. Zach Wilson, you seen how bad he's been. He's got benched by Tim Boyle. What's funny about it is Zach Wilson has more passing yards than Desmond Ridder. So that should tell you the main story of that is going on. Going on, right? And like you said, the main engine of that Falcons offense is that running game. I'm letting you know right now, running game eats time of possession, right? And like I said, when you eat up that much time of possession and you don't finish drives like the Falcons have been doing all year long, not even facing Jets defenses, you're going to have problems, especially now, like I said, especially with this top talent on the other side, bro. Yeah, man, you didn't miss nothing. This defense, like I said, I think I talked to you after the show. I really see what the Falcons put up, 10, 12 points. I said, this might even be a time where they might even get 4 fucking field goals, no touchdowns, 12 points.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. This Falcons team, if they can't establish the run, they're pretty stagnant on offense, and that's what we're betting on. This next one, we could be walking right into it. It's the Lions minus 4.5 against the Saints. Lions on the road. Listen, I understand that Jared Goff is kind of not necessarily turned into a pumpkin, but he's just not been the same quarterback as he's been at the beginning of the year. They had a rough last 2 weeks. Obviously, losing, on Thanksgiving was not what was kind of in the plan. And, the majority of the people thought they would handily, take on the Packers, which they didn't. That's their defense kind of taking them out of the game. And I know they had turnovers, but their defense was they just couldn't step up. What better spot for the Lions defense to get right against than Derek Carr, who absolutely is allergic to red zone touchdowns? That team settles for field goal after field goal after field goal. I mean, shit. Last week, they started 5 for 5 from the field goals, and then I think he missed his 6th one, so he was 5 for 6 for the field goals. That's all this team does. The Saints just kick field goals. The good news for us is the Lions are one of the most efficient teams in the red zone. They put up 7. 7 is greater than 3 any day of the week. And that's the difference in the spread. Obviously, minus 4.5 is a little high for a team on the road, but Dynell said it last episode. We've got Jared Goff still in a dome. That's where he thrives. The fish is in the fishbowl. So I just like the environment. I like the team. I like the matchup, and there's no Marshawn Lattimore. This Saints defense cannot stop the run. And we've seen it over the last 2 weeks. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for Lions, has made a testament to run the ball down these teams' throats until they can't do it anymore. We've got a two-headed monster back there with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I think they get it done on the running game. I think everything Jared Goff does in the air is just an added bonus. I love the Lions on the road, in the spot, in a dome. Dino, take it away.
I mean, this is typical NC South football. Teams that don't finish drives, never going to struggle in the red zone and kick field goals. So, yeah, you're telling me I'm about to put a team with a dome, with a quarterback who loves the dome, and he can put up at least 20. I mean, at least 20. He could put up at least 20 and still probably cover this spread as we speak today, man. So, yeah, you didn't miss nothing here. Mostly Dan Campbell and Nola this week, no doubt.
All right, Dino, why don't you take it away for our fourth pick of the week?
The fourth pick of the week, we're going to go down to Houston. We got the Texans -3.5 going against the Denver Broncos. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Guys, the biggest thing going on right now with the Denver Broncos is they're winning games. They've been on a 5-game win streak. They've been streaking. They've been doing pretty damn well. But here's the harsh reality. In those games, Russell Wilson really isn't that great of a quarterback. He is a game manager. And I think that's the one little thing people don't really seem to understand right now. Russell Wilson has thrown for 200 passing yards one time in the last 5 games during this 5-game winning streak. That is pitiful. And I can tell you this now, it's going to take more than that to keep up with this Texans offense. CJ Stroud, I mean, boy, remember how we was talking about Sam Howell being number 1? He actually is number 1, by the way. I double-checked it. Sam Howell is number 1. Guess who's number 2? CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, as a rookie, going crazy. Like I said, he's been probably the most consistent quarterback in the league this year, constantly throwing for 300 yards week after week. Like I said, we get it. You want to take the points. You want to back the Denver Broncos here. Like I said, I'm not going to say that's not smart, but I'm telling you guys right now, they have not faced an offense this consistent and this good in the Texans. CJ Stroud's going to go out there and torch him up. And honestly, what's been saving the Broncos this whole entire time is that running game. The Texans' defense is 3rd in yards per rush defensively. I mean, as far as, defending the run. So this screams to me Texans all day. I would actually bet this up to, this is the line we're going to be at 4. But I really see them taking over this game here, and I can finally see the Broncos finally snapping out this magical run they got going on.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I see about CJ Stroud is he stays composed in the pocket when there's pressure.
Yes.
When there's not pressure, he is a free bird. But when there is pressure, you could see he's not necessarily as off as you think a rookie would be. But the good news for us is the Denver Broncos are 26th in QB pressures. So they're just not getting to the quarterback. They're fast. They can maintain quarterbacks in the pocket, but they can't necessarily get to the quarterback. So that's good for us. Denver Broncos they're bottom of the pack in first downs, 3rd down conversion. They can't stop the rush. They're 31st in yards per play, so they give up explosive plays. Like this Broncos, they just don't close out drives. They let drives go. And, these numbers might be a little bit inflated from the beginning of the year. And I know they've kind of come back to a little bit more of a reality the last few weeks. But, this defense is still this defense. And, I think the biggest thing I was talking to Dynell about before, we started recording this was Russell Wilson has surprisingly been better with the turnovers. But if we remember the beginning of the year, he was turning the ball over like crazy, throwing interceptions, taking weird sacks and fumbling the ball. And I know he hasn't done that the last 2 weeks, but granted, these defenses haven't been they weren't really disciplined. They weren't really coached. Like this Texans defense is hungry and you could see it every single week. So I think they're going to make plays. I mean, Russell Wilson is going to have a turnover this game. It's inevitable. He's not going to keep protecting the ball. That's just not what he does. He is reckless with the ball at times. And I think this game has more opportunity to be a shootout than, a snooze fest. And if that's the case, then I want the team with a more explosive offense. Dynell said it. Russell Wilson can barely get to 200 yards passing. Meanwhile, CJ Stroud wakes up in his sleep with 300. So the Texans are going to be moving the ball. They have explosive playmakers on that field. I like them at home in this spot, in a bounce back spot after losing to the Jags from a doink from Matt Amendola. Give me the Texans at home. Listen, the caboose the last few weeks has been an ugly one, but I've got good news for you guys. This caboose is technically the best team in the NFL. This team has lost one game this entire season. This quarterback on this team has lost one game at home in his last 2 seasons. This quarterback is playing at home this week. This quarterback is getting disrespected by the public. This quarterback plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. We have the Philadelphia Eagles plus 2.5 at home versus the 49ers in an NFC Championship rematch. Do you notice how the Niners are the ones still talking shit? All this to say, and the Eagles have kept quiet. The Eagles know they go out there and they handle business on the field. They don't talk and talk and talk. They go out there and handle their business on the field. Deebo Samuel still salty. It's just that's just what this kind of team rivalry has turned into. Brock Purdy, last time he faced the Eagles, obviously went down. So, we haven't really got to see what Brock Purdy can do against this defense. And I know this defensive secondary on the Eagles has kind of looked rough. They give up a lot of yards, but the one thing that this team doesn't do is let up touchdowns. They make you settle for field goals. These teams that go against the Eagles, they have to go for it on 4th down if they want to try to get closer in the red zone for an opportunity to get 7. This is almost like the Bill Belichick defense from 10 years ago, where the Patriots would let you get as close as you want, but you weren't getting into the end zone. You were forced to kick 3 almost every single time. And then Tom Brady would eat the clock going downfield as the Eagles do, just dumping and diving and 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, like these yards. And then they get down there. Next thing you know, they took 7, 8, 9 minutes off the clock. Well, the Eagles, if you haven't been paying attention over the last few weeks, they do the same exact thing. 4-yard pass, 6-yard screen pass, 5-yard rush, 6-yard rush, 3rd and 1. And they're on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 almost every single drive, every single, set of downs. And then the defense gets greedy. They start pressing. And what do? Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown get in one-on-one coverage and beat them deep. That's what this team has, is discipline. And you have to have a team with discipline once you go up against the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, the safety for the Niners is done for the season, so that only helps us in our passing game. But if you look at the numbers, this is just one of the numbers you have to play. Eagles plus 2.5 at home. You're given one of the best defenses or one of the best offenses and one of the most disciplined defenses in the NFL, 2.5 points at home. This is just a no-doubt play. You have to play this every time. Eagles plus 2.5, Dynell.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, bro. You know what's crazy? You don't know how disrespectful this is? Let me tell you this. Jalen Hurts has probably the best. He has to have the best QBR late in games, man. The second half, Philly is insane in the second half. Let me put this to the spotlight, and I don't feel like this has been talked enough. I've seen it. I've seen the stat. This is why I'm about to talk about it right now. But I feel like I haven't seen this enough, and it's not talked about enough. Brock Purdy has been so-called elite this year. Went ahead. What does Brock Purdy look like when he's trailing in games? Not
every
good,
game that he's trailed, he's lost.
Not good. Yeah, not good at all. Now, I read it now. This was an article back in October that I was reading. Like I said, so this is not up to date, but from the date where it was up to in October, and I think it's October 1st. So from the time he started the last year up to the games of October 1st, he had only 13 drives while trailing, which is fucking nuts. Only 13 drives while trailing in a matter of 15 games at that point, 16 games at that point is ridiculous. But it's even more ridiculous. I think he scored only 10 points in those 13 drives while trailing. He has the worst QBR while trailing. He's 32nd. And I'm not Sam Howell, not Zach Wilson, not Deshaun Watson, Detorius Robinson, none of these bad quarterbacks, not even Desmond Ridder. He is dead last in QBR while trailing right now. And I think that's the difference in the game. I have trust in Jalen Hurts when the Eagles go down. But God damn it, let the 49ers go down. Who you got to back you at that point, So that's something that really guys keep an eye out on. I love the Eagles plus 2.5. I mean, Eagles as dogs, money every time. Eagles at home as dogs, Jesus Lord. Jalen Hurts with the Eagles at home and their dogs? Yo, come on, guys. What are we talking about here? Against a quarterback who's literally dead last while trailing. I'm going to tell you what, he will most certainly be trailing in this game this week. And like I said, Eagles by at least a touchdown. I told y'all that in the last episode. I'm sticking to it.
Eagles, when losing by 10 or more, 5-0 this year. 49ers, when losing by 10 or more, 0-3.
What are we talking about?
That just shows you the different end these teams face adversity.
What are we talking about?
We just got to play these trends, man. It's a good number. And I mean, I'm not going to let all this line movement scare me off. I mean, the only thing it's doing is making my bet easier, and if the Eagles do go out there and lose by 1 or 2 points, we still cover. Me and Dynell both think the Eagles win this game. It's just this line. Vegas opened this line up at -2.5 why are we going to go against them? Vegas knows. Vegas is the one who makes all the money. If they open this up at -2.5, they know something.
Yep.
We're not going to let all this public money move this Eagles to +2.5, and we're just going to take advantage at this point. This is what we got to play. Well, it's about that time. It's time for our Survivor pick of the week. As you guys know, we got bounced out last week with the Vikings.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah. It is what it is. It was a great ride. I had an awesome amount of fun. We will definitely be. Bro. Thank you. Made it in the top one. I think it was like 0.9% or whatever it was. Crazy. It was something crazy. So I had a hell of a run. Definitely will be doing this again next year. Next year, I will probably be playing in like 4 or 5, like in the same Survivor pool. I'll probably play like 4 or 5 entries. Just so when we get to this late in the year, I can differentiate my picks. Maybe play like, split them in half or play 3 different picks just so you guys, we'll revisit this at the beginning of next year. And Dynell's obviously, we're going to get into a Survivor pool together too, so we can play it, together. But with that being said, we're just going to keep it simple because we're not in it. For those who do want my Survivor pick, as you've heard earlier, it's the Buccaneers. Just got to play the Panthers. You guys know that at the beginning of the year, I was going against the Cardinals without Kyler Murray. Now we're just going against the Panthers. And I know this is one of the spots where people might get worried because, the Panthers just fired their head coach, and teams who, fire their head coach, blah, 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 they get like a boost. But this team is just broken, on all facets. This team is broken. GM to the owner, to the quarterback, to the defense, to the head, like everything. Everything about this team is just negative. So we'll go we'll go with the team that has an opportunity to win the division with the Buccaneers. This is a game they kind of have to win if they want to win the division. So I'll take the Buccaneers. If you guys don't like the Buccaneers, I'll probably go with the Rams just because Joe Flacco, his last 11 starts, he's 1-10 straight up. So just playing a trend there. So those are the Survivor picks of the week. Those are our 5 picks. Just once again, those are the Commanders +9.5, Jets +2.5, Lions -3.5, Texans -3.5, and Eagles +2.5. Before we get out of here, Dynell, do you have any last words for the listeners?
Yes, sir. But first, I want to give you a little interesting fact real quick, Jared. Who is... okay, so you remember, the Panthers coaching staff, Frank Reich, Matt Rule, Ron Rivera, John Fox were the last 4 coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you believe, so for the last 4 coaches, right? Do you remember the coach of last year who replaced Matt Rule in the middle of the season?
Oh, no, I don't.
Do you remember actually how good they end up being after that firing of Matt Rule?
Yeah. The team flipped on because Matt Rule, I think, went to like Nebraska or something, and he's torching that thing up too.
Yep.
No, yeah, I do remember them finishing the season pretty strong because I remember that's what we were using for our NFC South preview. We were talking about the Panthers. If they build on that momentum, they might be decent this year. Obviously, that's disgusting, but who was it?
You know what's funny, bro? And like I said, and this is what pisses me off too, because this is a lot of rap. I'm going to talk about African-American coaches. Like I said, I'm an advocate for African-American quarterbacks and coaches, but Steve Wilkes led that team to a 6-6 record after Matt Rule got fired that way. So the fact to see that how bad that shit was, how much of a shit show was with Matt Rule, then it switched to Steve Wilkes who was the quarterback? But Andy Dalton, right?
I think so.
What the fuck are we talking about? 6-6. 6-6. He tied, like I said, he finished out strong, ended up with a 500 coaching record with that terrible of a fucking team. Just for, no offense to Frank Reich, I know he's, the former quarterback coach of the Eagles when Carson Wentz was there, yada, yada, yada. 1-10 is ridiculous. I did not expect that whatsoever, man. But you was right, though. They was wrong to fire him. $20 million. You're giving them $20 million any goddamn way. You're basically paying $40 million in coach cap for next year, which is fucking crazy. But yeah, man. I just wanted to bring that up too. I just wanted to bring that up because the Panthers were never this terrible. They're really that bad.
Yeah, they're bad.
And but nah. One thing I do want to say before we go is the same thing every week, knuckleheads. Just bet responsibly, bet safe, don't go overboard, stay within your limits. Little new twist. Atlantic City, guys, come on. If you guys are listening, you out in Atlantic City, please come see us. We're going to be in the Caesars Sportsbook. Even like I say, even DM at Shred the Spread on Twitter. DM me at Dyneezy. If you guys want to. Like I said, I haven't really put my social media out there, but I'm going to start putting more and more out there so you guys can communicate with me personally if you guys need to or want some advice. So yeah, guys. Other than that, guys, hey, bet responsibly. This is the bounce back weekend. I'm pumped up. This is the right time for it, bro. I'm just ready to turn up, bro. I'm honestly ready to turn up.
Yeah, just a little foreshadowing. Dynell and I may switch to a webcam version of the podcast somewhere closer to Christmas. So that was the, big announcement we were talking about a few episodes ago. So be on the lookout for that. That means we will not only broadcast our live edition of the podcast, but obviously when our awesome producer Tyler edits it, it will still be in audio format wherever you listen to your podcast. But this has been our Week 13 best bets for the contest for the Shred the Spread podcast. I'm your host, Jared. He's Dynell, and for our awesome producer, Tyler. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, we'll see you.
Peace.